Hello everybody, my name is Sniping is Fun, and I welcome you all back to the next list video I want to do for all of you here on YouTube. It's not going to be at the 5 list, those are coming back real soon. It's not going to be a top 10 or anything like that. It's going to be one of those out of nowhere lists where I pick a random number and do a certain topic. It could be 6, 7, 8, 9, 5, 20, 30, 50, whatever. Just whether or not it has a visual aid or anything varies upon how I want to do it, if I'm printing stuff off, or how big the list is, or small the list is, and what the topic is, so on and so forth. So it's going to be one of those out of nowhere lists. And I wanted to do this video for quite some time. I just had to think it over and contemplate what number I wanted to do of certain topics for this video, but it's going to be Kingdom Hearts related. It's going to be worlds for Kingdom Hearts, and in the process of doing it, I have my Sharpie here, and I brought back the ghetto list board. Remember, I did this when I did your list for, the top 15 most wanted third-party characters for Smash Bros. And Nintendo characters for Smash Bros. I did that way back, like, last year sometime, I believe. Somewhere around that. Okay, but I haven't done a video like that since, and this is how I'm probably going to mostly be doing certain lists every once in a while. When I come back to the 5 list, I might start doing something like this on the ghetto refrigerator board with something, with posting pictures and whatnot. In lists, probably more so like last time, where I just flip it off and take, it's already written there. I instead put these papers up, wrote down the numbers, and as I'm doing the list, I have the Sharpie, and I'm going to put them up. And you've seen the name of the video, you've seen the thumbnail whenever I do change it. It's going to be a Kingdom Hearts related list, and it's going to be 20 Disney shows and movies that would still make good worlds and Kingdom Hearts games in the future of Kingdom Hearts. 20 Disney shows, 20 Disney TV series that would still make good worlds for future Kingdom Hearts games. And I have right up here, and behind this, I have it all written down so I could actually have the list in front of me. I didn't do that with the Smash thing all that much, but I'm going to probably do it so I have a visual aid so I can have something to read off of. And let's get this started without this intro going on way too long for the 20 Disney series and TV shows that would make good worlds for future Kingdom Hearts games. So I have it right here, 1 through 10, 11 through 20, 1 through 20, and I'm going to write them out. So, number 1 is going to be The Sword in the Stone. Now, this was a 1963 movie based off the adventures of King Arthur, the Round Table, Merlin. We've already had Merlin in Kingdom Hearts pretty much since day one. He has his own little, magic shop, and you interact with him. He's like a side character in like every single Kingdom Hearts game at this point. Why can't we give him his own world yet? The Sword in the Stone movie was so freaking funny, so freaking good. You had some good characters. You can team up with King Arthur, and actually he's a young Arthur, but you know what I'm talking about. He can be one of your party members. Merlin can finally get a main character role being a part of your party, and it'd be so cool to have Madam Mim be like a boss with her like as an alligator and transform in her forms and whatnot. And you team up alongside Merlin and Arthur while they're turning into owls and squirrels and everything, and you could turn too. And it's just this weird, like, England, King Arthur, Sword in the Stone, Round Table type story, and it represents one of their classic movies that has yet to be adapted into a world in Kingdom Hearts. I don't want to see a lot of the old stuff just get pushed out of the way so they can keep pushing new stuff in. I want Kingdom Hearts to be balanced out. Kingdom Hearts 3 kind of focused a lot more on newer entities, like the 2000s onwards, in terms of Disney movies and shows and worlds and whatnot. But I still don't want them to drop the old classic Disney. I want them to find a balance, bring in classic Disney with new Disney, and intertwine them in future worlds. Once Kingdom Hearts 3, the after story, going forward, I want to see them balance out, old versus new. And I think the Sword in the Stone would be a cool classic world to bring in, because it gives us more for Merlin. That's the main reason I really want to do it, besides the fact that it's a really great movie entirely. But we've had Merlin since day one. How about we have him team up with us, being the main party member in a world? There you go. Number 2 is going to be The Jungle Book. Now, The Jungle Book, I do believe, was supposed to be a world in, I think, Birth by Sleep. There was some, maps, some stuff already planned for it, but they never went through with it. But How about we do it now? Jungle Book is a classic movie from 1967. It's another classic movie I think they should adapt. They intended to bring it in before, which happened to Toy Story, and we finally got Toy Story and Kingdom Hearts 3. So how about we bring that in? You could adapt it off the movie, the live-action movie, if you really want, or the 1967. I'm thinking it makes more sense just to do the 1967 one. But if you want to make it more modern and more, current, I would say maybe base it off the live-action movie. It's not like we've had live-action characters in these games before. They've done Pirates of the Caribbean. So either or, if they want to go for the classic one, animated 60s movie, or you want to go for the recent, last couple of years, the live-action movie, either or. But the Jungle Book has some cool characters. You could team up with pretty much Mowgli, Bagheera, or Baloo. I don't know who the 2 members of your party member would be given if we still get 5 party members and you have Sora, Donald, Goofy, and then 2 members. I would say Mowgli and probably Baloo. Bagheera would probably be a side character. But just imagine fighting like Kaa or Shere Khan or King Louie as boss battle. Especially Shere Khan. Just imagine fighting in a forest full of flames and he's the final boss battle. That would be really, really cool. And it would bring us a world that, first off, a Disney movie that really should deserve to be classically represented like this, or the newer adaptation of it, as well as bring us a world that was originally intended for a Kingdom Hearts game to begin with. The third one on this list is going to go to Robin Hood, the classic 1973 animated anthropomorphic fox Robin Hood movie. Now, I really would love to see this in, because it was such a good movie and has such good characters like Little John, Prince John, Maid Marian. You could team up with Robin Hood, so I'd say Little John and Robin Hood would be your party members in here. You make, Sora some anthropomorphic fox type character, just like pretty much all the different worlds, like Lion King and Monsters Inc. and whatnot, change his appearance. He'd become like an anthropomorphic fox version of himself, and you just take the adventures of Robin Hood and Nottingham going after, saving Maid Marian from Prince John, burning down the castle, epic sword fight in the castle, his soldiers. I think it'd be a cool movie, and it's like another world. First off, a movie that's a classic that really should be represented. We don't see too much of the. There's a lot of classic Disney worlds, Disney movies that are kind of forgotten about. This one is not forgotten about, but it's it doesn't seem like Disney pushes it as much as certain older movies, and then they're pushing their newer stuff, obviously, their business. But it's I would like to see it represent this classic series. Also, it's a world that changes Sora, and I think more of those worlds would be kind of cool, because, Monsters Inc. and Lion King and Night Before Christmas and whatnot, we're all cool, and Tron and everything, we're all cool worlds that just change your appearance. So Robin Hood would be my choice, and I think it'd be a cool world for a classic world to bring back and represent, especially if they ever decide to make a live-action version of this, because they're doing a bunch of live-action movies. It would be kind of cool if they do that and then advertise it and represent it like that. Number 4 on this list is going to go to The Black Cauldron. Now, I know this is the black sheep of 1985, of the 80s Disney era, before they had the renaissance of the late 80s into early-ish mid-90s, when Disney came back with Aladdin, Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, and Lion King and whatnot. But it's still a really good movie, and it had such an interesting world and story. You could team up with Taran and Princess I haven't seen this movie in a long time, Ilanwe, and fight the Horn King. The Horn King would be such an epic boss battle. Alone, I would just want to see it just to be able to fight the Horn King. He has such a cool skeleton as boss fight. They could be kind of creepy. It'd be kind of cool. And it's just an epic. Most of these ones I just named were a bunch of fantasy adventure type movies based off old European folk tales and legends and stuff like that. And it's just set in that old ancient, time, and princesses and knights and evil demonic monsters and dragons and everything. I think The Black Cauldron, despite being a very black sheep in Disney's history, given the movie did pretty bad, would be cool to bring back, because especially if they ever decide to make a live action version of it, it kind of either A, could be used to advertise that, or B, bring light to what the old movie was, because it wasn't really a bad movie. It was just not super successful. It was pretty much a financial bomb, but I do think it would still make a good world for Disney in terms of Kingdom Hearts, and I would love to see it in the series. The 5th one is going to go to the first TV show on this list, and that's going to be the most obvious one anyone would ever say DuckTales. Now, we already have Scrooge McDuck and Huey, Dewey, and Louie in the series. Huey, Dewey, and Louie have been in since day one, like shop owners and stuff like that. Scrooge has been showing up since pretty much, I think, Kingdom Hearts 2, he was in like Hollow Bastion / Radiant Garden. Radiant, and then he has like a shop in Twilight Town in Kingdom Hearts 3, like the little restaurant place with the mouse from Ratatouille and whatnot. How about we give him his own world now? And DuckTales is such an iconic series because you have the old 80s and the early 90s animated series, and they just brought it back like last year or so. So if you want to mix the styles together, maybe have it based off the classic one with some design-esque elements of the new one, give us the world with Scrooge McDuck and Huey, Dewey, and Louie and Webby and Launchpad, and you go against Magica and the Beagle Boys. It'd be cool to represent more worlds that are not Disney movies, but they're TV series. We don't really see that. And I would love to see Kingdom Hearts bringing more worlds that are based off shows and not movies. And we already have Scrooge McDuck, Huey, Dewey, and Louie anyways. Just give them something, like I said with Merlin. Make Merlin important. Make Huey, Dewey, Louie, and Scrooge McDuck important to some sort of actual story. So you probably have Launchpad and Scrooge in your party, and you face the Beagle Boys and Magic. There you go. The sixth one I want to talk about is going to go to a Pixar movie that pretty much has been forgotten about since it came out back in 1998, and that is A Bug's Life. I mean, Flick. You can come up with Flick and probably one of the carnival bugs, and you fight to save Princess Ada. Hopper would be a cool boss battle. It represents another classic, Pixar movie that doesn't get a lot of love. Like, it got one movie gone. Toy Story still gets love. Cars still gets love. A bunch of Pixar movies still get love, but like Bug's Life got one movie and then probably was referenced in like little shorts and Easter egg type stuff later on. But I think it'd be cool to bring it back in A Bug's Life and just turn Sora and all that into like ants and various little bugs and have them fight Hopper with the birds and traveling around. It's just it's like Toy Story where you're transported into a big world where you're a small little thing like a toy or a bug. I think it'd be kind of cool. Number 7 is going to go to the second show on this list, and one that did just recently get a live action Disney Channel thing, but obviously everyone loves the classic TV show from Disney Channel back then, and that's Kim Possible. It's a spy story type of thing. Just imagine, it's like take Big Hero 6 with all the technology type stuff, throw into a spy world. Obviously, Ron Stoppable and Kim Possible would be your party members, and pretty much the boss fight. I mean, the obvious one would be probably Dr. Dragon. He'd be like the main boss of that world, and with Shigo. But you could probably have Monkey Fist or Senior, or Senior Junior be boss battles too. Maybe have a few of the villains, but obviously Dr. Dragon would be the final main boss of that world. I think it'd be kind of cool. It represents probably one of the most popular Disney Channel shows during the 2000s. It came out in 2002, and it was so good. Good characters and storytelling, world building. I would think if we ever get, besides DuckTales, if we ever get worlds based off Disney Channel shows and Disney shows, Kim Possible's high up on my list for sure. Number 8 is going to go to, where do I have this at? I don't have these. Okay, there we go. This would be another classic movie. But I do truly think this would be a really fun world for a Kingdom Hearts. And that's The Great Mouse Detective. Now, The Great Mouse Detective came back out in 1986. It was during that time, like the Black Cauldron, during the slow period of it. I do think, obviously, unlike the Black Cauldron, The Great Mouse Detective was at least well financially and popular. Like during the time of like Oliver and Company and like, the Black Cauldron, it was probably one of the more top choices during that time frame when Disney movies were a little fading before the Renaissance. But it'd be kind of cool to be like, turn into a mouse, team up with Sherlock Holmes and like Dawson. They'll be your party members. You go save Olivia from Professor Radigan. Sad to say we can't have Vincent Price as the voice actor. He would have been so freaking awesome, like Leonard Nimoy and whatnot. But sadly, he passed away many years ago. So find someone that sounds like Vincent Price, Professor Radigan, fight on top of the tower, the clock, great Big Ben, in England and whatnot. It would be such a good world, and it represents, like I said, another classic world that should not be forgotten, a classic movie that should not be forgotten, especially if it ever gets a modern day and live action version of the movie. It'd be kind of cool. yeah, that's all I really have to say about that. Number 9 is going to go to another Pixar movie, one that did recently, within like the last year or two, get a sequel that everyone was anticipating, The Incredibles. Now, I don't want it really based off The Incredibles 2. I haven't seen the movie yet, but I've heard it has good story and good world and everything, but Incredibles 1 would make such a good Kingdom Hearts world, especially, to have freaking Syndrome as a boss battle. You team up with Frozone and Mr. Incredible, they would probably be your party members, or Elastigirl. Mr. Incredible would obviously have to be one of your party members, and then team up with your Frozone or Elastigirl is the other one. You could probably meet Edna Mode. Just like Big Hero 6, it's a superhero-based one, so Sora, Donald, and Goofy would all turn into superhero-type things, get costumes, everything, probably more cliche, classic superhero costumes. It'd be so freaking awesome. And you fight Syndrome at the end. You fight the big giant robot things like, and just have a big Syndrome fight and send them into a plane like, oh, okay, I think it'd be kind of cool. I mean, they probably would more likely want to go for Incredibles 2 story, but I think the first one's such a classic and such a beloved story, I think they would have to start at least with that. And then do a future, like Incredibles 2, or if there's a third one or whatnot, for a future Kingdom Hearts. Number 10 is going to go to and not a specific movie or specific series, but a specific entity that they own, but I think would be kind of cool as representation in a Kingdom Hearts world. It's not something that originally started as Disney, but they own it now, so they might as well use it, I guess. And that would obviously go to Marvel. Now, Marvel Comics would be kind of like, here's the confusing thing for me. Like, would they go for like the MCU movies, or would they go for the comic books, or some sort of video game cartoon show? I don't know. See, this is where it comes for me when it comes to the Marvel world. It's like why I think it probably wouldn't happen, and I probably will do a video on this, is because I don't know where they want to go. Obviously, they probably would want to go for like an MCU movie, like Endgame / Infinity War / Avengers / fighting Thanos or Loki or something, teaming up with that. But I don't know which Avengers they would pick, but just imagine Sora, Donald and Goofy teaming up with Captain America, or Spider-Man, or Doctor Strange, or Black Panther, or freaking Captain America, or the Winter Soldier, or like War Machine, or freaking the Guardians of the Galaxy, and you fight like Loki or Thanos or something. I think it'd be kind of cool, and I know it wasn't originally a Disney entity, but here's the thing: some of the worlds and some of the things that Disney made movies and shows out of weren't originally their thing, like Tarzan and whatnot, and obviously The Great Mouse Detective being based off Sherlock Holmes and everything. They based off like old folk tales, legends, fairy tales, and stuff like that. But they own Marvel now, and I think it'd be kind of cool to see a world based off of it, or at the very least cameos. Like you team up with Wolverine, or you see Wolverine in like Twilight Town drinking a beer or something, and you fight freaking Thanos as a secret boss battle, in like how he fought like freaking Sephiroth. Like you have to do some collect Infinity Stones to fight him. I think more like the realistic option would be like maybe cameos, getting like items and weapons, secret boss battles. But if they do a world, either it'd be based off the Avengers or MCU, or some really classic X-Men, Avengers type comic book stories like Civil War and whatnot. It's just, there's so many options, and I think it'd be kind of cool to actually have it. We're finally over to the right side, and number 11 goes to the next show on my list. And that will be, and it's obviously probably I wouldn't say the weakest one, because it's a really popular and beloved show. But obviously compared to like Kim Possible and DuckTales especially, it probably has like the weakest possibility, and that's the American Dragon Jake Long it came out around 2005 to about 2007, 8-ish. I just think it'd be kind of cool. I just really think it'd be kind of cool to be able to team up with Jake Long. He turns to a dragon. You team up with Foo Dog and Trixie and Rose and whatnot, and you take on like the Dark Dragon and the Huntsman, and he like this big battle of like ancient Chinese dragon warfare, and these people hunting the dragons and everything. It'd be kind of cool, and especially it was just an epic show. I mean, it's probably the weakest option out of all the ones I mentioned, like Kim Possible and DuckTales, the least likely option, because DuckTales stood the test of time and Kim Possible was freaking awesome. But I'm not saying anything about American Dragon, but I'm just saying it's probably the least likely option. But it'd be kind of cool to bring it back from freaking almost 15 years ago and give it a new light. And I think it'd be kind of cool to see what they could do with like, well, it could be like a variation on Big Hero 6 almost too, like a big city to travel around and whatnot. Okay, number 12. We'll go to a semi-classic movie. But turn of the century, still 2000s, early 2000s. And that's Emperor's New Groove. It's not very likely because it doesn't really have too much action in it. It's more like a buddy comedy and whatnot between like Kuzco and Pacha and everything. But I think that element could make for an interesting world in general. You team up with Kuzco, you team up with Pacha. He's out of his village. You're trying to help them get back to turn Kuzco from a llama into a human. And then you get challenged by Kronk and Yzma along the way. And then you fight Yzma on top of the tower. She turns to a cat. You send her to the bouncy, trampoline thing. I think just for the comedy reasons, storyline reasons, and characters being so funny, cool, and awesome, that's why. It's not very likely, given it's not a super action-oriented movie. It's very much a comedy, as is the TV series based off of it. But I still like it anyways, and there's a lot of like Disney fans that grew up around that era that would love to see that as a world. Okay, 13 goes to a movie that's only 1 year later, in 2001, and that is... Atlantis, the Lost Empire. This movie has been pretty much a missed opportunity since Kingdom Hearts. Well, I wouldn't say Kingdom Hearts 1, given that was like a year later in 2002. But like Kingdom Hearts 2 onward, it's not a classic Disney movie, but it's not a full-fledged like new one. It was fairly popular. It wasn't one of the more classic like Aladdin or Lion King popular, but it had some cool worlds. You team up with Milo, Thatch, and Kida, go after like Lieutenant Helga, Commander Rourke, turn him into the giant crystal thing as he's floating. Like, Bwah! And like Whitmore, you talk about Whitmore, and you go to Atlantis, fight the giant, Leviathan thing. Just imagine some like a gummy ship type boss battle with a Leviathan, but you're inside the submarine and everything, and all the cool characters. It just breaks my heart that this movie, as much as I love it, it never got the opportunity in Kingdom Hearts 2 or anything. I mean, I was so happy when they finally did in Dream Drop Distance, Hunchback Notre Dame. So it took them that long to get Hunchback. Hopefully Atlantis has a chance, please, Square. Number 14 we're on. What is 14? Oh, okay, cool. A more modern day movie, and like the last 2D one they ever had. And I already said what it was by just doing that. And that is Princess and the Frog. It honestly astonishes me, this movie never got a world in Kingdom Hearts. Like, seriously, you got Tiana and Prince Naveen. You could probably have Sora be turned into a frog as well. Little animal creatures you're traveling. It could be like Toy Story and like Lion King mixed together. This weird world where you're animal type small things in a big world, and you go against freaking, Dr. Facilier. Like, that's my main reason why. Dr. Facilier was such a freaking good villain. Just imagine fighting a giant version of him like he's looming over you as a frog, and you have to fight him in the graveyard. And you team up with Ray and Lewis, and just this epic journey from 2009. It was such a... I miss Disney doing classic 2D stuff, because it seems like they really haven't done that since then. And it's been 10 years now, and that's honestly really surprising me. But yeah, Princess and the Frog, I would love to see it. I'm surprised it wasn't in Kingdom Hearts 3. 15. Here's a movie from 2012. And since we got freaking Tangled in it, I would also think we should get Brave. Like, seriously, Merida, and you team up with... It's in medieval Scotland, and it's the archery, and the knights, and the kings, and like this giant bear enemy, Mordu, and the mother gets turned into a bear, and just imagine fighting alongside the mother as a bear, and freaking Merida against this giant evil enemy bear, and this journey of coming to, growing up, and teaming, mother story, daughter story, and I think it'd be kind of epic. They did Tangled. I think Brave would be a cool world to add as well. And that's also another one that surprises me for Kingdom Hearts 3 wasn't in it. The next one is a movie from also 2012 and has representation in Kingdom Hearts 3, but not with a world, but with a summon, which I still think would be a cool world. WreckIt Ralph. I am honestly freaking surprised WreckIt Ralph didn't get a world in Kingdom Hearts 3. This is probably the biggest one I'm surprised at, besides Princess and the Frog and Brave. Like, he was a summon in Kingdom Hearts 3. But, like, I could just imagine a world that's probably like even like a Winnie the Pooh side game. You go into like Twilight Town. There's a little arcade in the back corner. You jack like Tron or the Matrix into the world, and you're playing Sugar Rush or Fix It Felix Jr. and you're doing little things. And you could probably have the story or the world be mostly the mini games, but you probably could still have a boss battle and story intertwined, probably Turbo / King Candy into it, and you're teaming up with Ralph and Vanellope, Felix and Calhoun, going into the big bug game, shooting stuff up, and then just King Candy just comes back as the virus, like, oh, I'm alive, my code's still alive, and Turbo King Candy, and like you fight him, but it's in between minigames things, so it's like a world of like Winnie the Pooh mixed with adventure and action and boss battles and a story. So little mini games intertwined with maybe a few little boss battle sections. I think that'd be kind of cool. 17. What is 17? Okay, cool. Yep. 17. This one, I can understand being a little too new. It came out in 2016 during development, so obviously it wasn't likely. And that's Moana. Just imagine teaming up with, Moana, Maui, Pua, and you see Gramatella, and then I'm going to mispronounce these names. Tefiti, Tika. This giant elemental things journey in the ocean. Just you team up with pretty much Moana and Maui, and just a big adventure type story, and I think it'd be kind of cool. And now I think it's almost free game, given that Kingdom Hearts 3 was a little too new, but in the future game it might be just fine. Number 18, just in the same camp as Moana being a little too new, came out in 2016 as well, Zootopia. Just imagine, it's just like I mentioned with the Robin Hood world. You turn Robin Hood, turn Sora into some anthropomorphic rabbit or tiger or lion or whatever, and team up with Julie Hopps, Nick Wilde, and then you go in your big adventure about the difference of predators and stuff, and Bellwether could be a boss battle with some giant soldiers or enemies or giant robot suits, just make it a little bit more action-oriented. I think it'd be kind of cool, adventurous. It'd be kind of cool. 19, we go back to 2002, and just like Atlantis, the Lost Empire, in my opinion, a very missed opportunity for this never being the world in freaking Kingdom Hearts. And probably is not as major as, say, like Lion King or a freaking, Tangled or a Toy Story or freaking Nightmare Before Christmas, but Treasure Planet. Just it astonished me. I love the movie so much. I didn't even see it when it came out in 2002. I saw it back like when I got into college many years later. Jim Hawkins, Captain Amelia, Dr. Doppler, Long John Silver, Ben, Mr. Arrow, Scroop. Just imagine having this big battle on Treasure Planet, fighting like Scroop, maybe have him live the boat thing, and you fight him in Treasure Planet as it's blowing up. Jim Hawkins and probably Captain Amelia would be your party members. Just a big action adventure of like Treasure Island turned into space pirates and stuff. I really am shocked that Kingdom Hearts 2 onward we never got to see it as a world, and it saddens me a lot. Really, it does. And we are at number 20. And it's going to be just like the Marvel thing. It's going to be a story that's not originally, Disney. It wasn't originally owned by Disney, not an original Disney show or movie or whatever. But I have to talk about it anyways in terms of a world, given that they own it now and they're still doing it. And that has to go to Star Wars. Now, unlike Marvel, which there's a multitude of things to adapt from, like the MCU movies, the Avengers movies, comic books, video games, TV, cartoon series, and whatnot, like there's so much stuff to adapt. That might be harder to adapt, so that's why I say for Marvel, secret boss battles like Thanos and Loki, getting like a Avengers Keyblade and different items and weapons for like Donald and Goofy, and seeing cameos, just going into Twilight Town and seeing Wolverine just sitting there at the diner or something. Little things like that, little secret boss battles in the Coliseum and whatnot. Star Wars, there's more centralized TV shows, movies, and stuff to go by. And quite frankly, just because it's iconic enough, it'd have to be like the original trilogy. They might want to go for the prequel trilogy. That's very unlikely. They might go for the new trilogy with like Rey and Poe and everything. I think a lot of fans would hate that, although I don't really see a major problem with it. It could probably still be a cool world fighting Kylo Ren, but it has to be the original trilogy at some point. You have to fight the Emperor. You have to fight freaking, Darth Vader, or get like a lightsaber Keyblade. My God, that would be so freaking awesome. And I just want to see it. And that's it for 20 Disney movies, TV shows, and freaking own properties I think would make sense for future Kingdom Hearts worlds, post Kingdom Hearts 3, classic and new, stuff they bought, stuff they owned, so on and so forth. Sword in the Stone, Jungle Book, Robin Hood, The Black Cauldron, DuckTales, Bugs Life, Kim Possible, The Great Mouse Detective, The Incredibles, Marvel in general, American Dragon Jake Long, Emperor's New Groove, Atlantis: The Lost Empire, Princess and the Frog, Brave, WreckIt Ralph, Moana, Zootopia, Treasure Planet, and Star Wars! And that's my list. Hope you put in the comments what you guys think. Do you guys think these 20 would make good worlds for future Kingdom Hearts games? Which ones do you agree with? Which ones you don't? And what that are not on my list would you suggest and would you want to see? My name is Sniper's Fun. Peace. Please, wherever you want to, have a lovely day. Bye.